Hi, I'm Josh Carving, and welcome to my first episode of DBXamination, where I'll be taking a closer look at some of the matches proposed by the DBX show that's going to be happening between halves of the current Death Battle season, and I'm going to be digging into them, finding out who should win in an actual fight, just in case people are trying to vote based on the actual statistics, as opposed to sheer favoritism. And while sometimes DBXs can actually be pretty interesting fights, with some pretty interesting things to dig into, this is not one of those times. Death Battle's really giving me an easy one to tee off on for the first look into these, with Mulan from Disney against Lucina from Fire Emblem. Now, I can technically dig into a couple interesting things for this fight, but let's more or less break down the two kind of things that you could go for. First off is their just main canon uses, in which case Mulan caps out at probably equivalent to some guys who are capable of breaking stone with their heads. Not a very high feat. And in terms of speed, not much. I don't think she even has, arrow timing or anything like that. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Now, counteract that with Lucina. It's obvious what the comparison is here. They're both women who pretended to be men and fought in an army. I get it. But in this case, Lucina just kind of sheerly stomps because she's able to dodge bolting, which is an actual, cloud-to-ground lightning. She can dodge arrow fire, ballista. Actually, I don't think ballistas are in Awakening, are they? I don't recall. Either way, dodging arrows from fairly short range works anyway. She can survive meteors. She can tank attacks from Grima, who is like a life-wiping dragon. There isn't a fight here. In any realistic sense, there's not really a fight. I'm slightly curious as to the sprites that they're actually going to be using too, because Mulan has apparently a Korean bootleg game or something like that, or Chinese bootleg, where apparently it actually has pretty solid sprites. So people are theorizing that that's the game that they're going to be pulling Mulan's stuff from. So that'll be interesting. And then for Lucina, I would assume we're going to get Project X Zone, which brings us to the technically secondary round of the debate, where if you were to include, because some people who are picking this up and being like, oh, Mulan can win, are going, she fought alongside Sora in Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, so if you include that, I believe at that point, so in Kingdom Hearts 2, he had a couple FTL feats, and was, I believe, planet level, I think. Some of the Ansem's reports basically indicate that the worlds are actually planets that he goes between, and then some of them are destroyed and things like that. So basically, the deep lore of Kingdom Hearts says that it's planet level stuff. So that leads us to, if you decide to fully scale Mulan to Sora, that would lead us with planet level Mulan, and I can't remember Monstro's speed, but the High Wind was capable of flying between planets in a fairly short time, so decently faster than light Mulan. which most people would say, there it is, that's how Mulan can win, is if you use Kingdom Hearts. No. Because if you're going to give Mulan something as non-canon as Kingdom Hearts, you need to give Lucina comparable material, which in this case, as I mentioned before, Project X Zone, in which she's fighting alongside and against characters like Cosmos, Tales of Vesperia characters, Segata Sanshiro. Oh, I can't remember some of the characters in there. Morrigan and Dimitri from Darkstalkers. So overall, just way above planet level, and way above Faster Than Light. So in that case, like, even if you go into the second round where you're including all of their non-canon like extra bits, it still isn't even close at all. Unfortunately, this one doesn't really have too much for me to sink my teeth into. Even just going into that like extra round is pretty questionable, and things like that wouldn't be used in a traditional death battle either. You basically would just use the first movie and the god awful second movie. There might be, I think, like a Game Boy game or something like that, but I doubt you'd be able to get like any decent feats from it. Meanwhile, just Fire Emblem Awakening on its own is more than enough to completely destroy everything Mulan has. The second Mulan movie is bad anyway, and doesn't even have like any combat. I think it has like her beat like a couple nameless guys at the very start, and then it has nothing for the rest of the movie. So she basically only has one movie anyway. That's pretty much it for this one. If you go into experience, the war that Lucina was fighting had more battles, more work against more people. Mulan didn't even really do very much sword fighting against individuals. She fought the one villain from the movie who, for the life of me, I can never remember his name. He is honestly one of the most forgettable Disney villains imaginable. She fought against him slightly, but I'm pretty sure he overpowered the hell out of her in like all confrontations, and she only won because of like basically dodging around his attacks and environmental awareness. Which, to be fair, Lucina has too. She was considered, wasn't it, I believe, essentially the general for the forces in the future when all of the like first generation died in the bad timeline. I believe she was the general for them anyway, so. Well, that's basically the most that I can get out of this one. So I will see you guys for the next DBXamination, where we will go over yet another fight for results that don't ultimately matter. And for those wondering when I'm going to talk about the that last death battle, I'll be getting more into that when the next death battle itself is announced. I'm just going to be keeping these two series mostly separate. So I will see you guys for the next one.